Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Narrow Forward.
Oh shit!
What? No way! Hey, did it!
Oh shit!
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Networth MMA podcast. I'm your host, Jorge, my co-host here.
Jason?
And today, guys, we have such an exciting breakdown for you guys. UFC 287 probably might be the most highest stakes card probably in I think any card in a while. I mean, dude, the Islam versus, Alex Pereira was high stakes, and the UFC kept getting delivered with all these high stakes cards with Usman versus Leon Edwards, but this might be, in terms of combat sports level, I'm gonna be honest, Jason, because the potential implications of both these fights, from the co-main with Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns, to where if Jorge loses, he retires, but if he wins or either wins, they might get a title shot in epic fashion. And finally, the legacy of Israel Adesanya that spans across two sports with the greatest hater to ever exist, that is now champ Alex Pereira, bro. Oh my god, dude, Alex Pereira is definitely some different level. Honestly, like a mythic fighter, mythic hater unlocked. But to the point where if this guy wins as well, Israel Adesanya's legacy is forever tarnished, from being the greatest middleweight to being, dare I say, the second. Because once if the Poatan can do it again, then there's no question that he probably just, if he beats the greatest middleweight back-to-back in multiple sports, that just kind of cements him as like the greatest combat middleweight right there, right? I don't know, man. But both these fights have crazy implications. But Jason, let's go dive right in. Guys, we're going to be first covering the co-main event, Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns. And guys, bro. Jason, give me your thoughts on this fight, bro, and then we'll go into the breakdowns.
Whoa. Well, dude, this fight is a fight it was actually supposed to happen, I think, last year.
Yeah.
But there's been some complications, with Jorge alleged, how
alleged brain injuries and shit like that, you know.
Alleged brain injuries, so many alleged things.
Yeah.
Fight, and we're like, oh man, like if we're not gonna get this fight, it's gonna suck. But then the year starts off. It gets announced that it's happening in April, and now we get to see an amazing matchup between Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal. I think, honestly, just my first thoughts on this fight is, dude, there's a lot of implications and a lot of scary things being said about retirement.
Yeah.
And when I heard Jorge say stuff like that, it's like, yo, this guy's serious. Like, if he loses this fight, it's over for him. He's not. That'll be a 4-fight losing streak.
Yeah.
And just a fun fact, I don't even know if you know this, but. Not to bash Jorge in any way or anything, but when I heard this fact, I was like, "Yo, it sucks, but it's true."
It's that finish rate, right?
No, he hasn't beaten a single UFC fighter that's in the division right now.
Oh, you're right. Ben Askren, Darren Till. I think anyone that he's beaten, I think, is pretty much, except what is it, Wonder Boy? Oh no. Wait,
that was lightweight.
You're right. Oh my god, dude, that's actually crazy right now. But he's still the most biggest bang for your buck fighter there, if you don't include Conor McGregor just yet,
Absolutely. But when I was just watching so many things leading up, and I was like, man, that sucks. Why do you got to tell me that? But at the same time, the reason for that is because he's fighting top level people. It wasn't like he's fighting bums or lower ranked people. He's fighting top of the top.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been like Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman twice. Like, bro, it's not like easy people out here. We're talking
He's losing to the best of the best, either champs, former champs, champ caliber, or we're going to probably fight for the title. Asterisks, depending on how this fight goes.
Right. So in this fight, man, all week he's been saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna make sure I make it convincing enough for him to get a title shot."
Right.
If I'm being honest, like I know Dana White has said like, "Oh yeah,
it's Colby.
He's gonna get it next," but like, bro, if Jorge can do some crazy shit and get Gilbert Burns out of there in amazing fashion, bro, I don't know, bro. I kind of think I want to see Jorge get the title instead of Colby, only because I feel like there's a lot more build-up for that fight.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think it'd be amazing.
But right.
Just going back to the fight, right? Dude, on the other hand, we have Gilbert Burns, bro. This man is crazy. He fights anyone. It doesn't matter who. He's always been up for the challenge. We saw that against Khamzat Chimaev, right? Bro, he didn't have to take the fight. He was fighting. He was like number 3 ranked, and Khamzat was like number 11 or 12. He was
right.
lower on the rankings, right?
Significantly,
so he didn't have to take the challenge. and he showed that he bleeds. He
Yeah,
bleeds.
yeah, yeah.
We've never, we hadn't even seen Kamza ever get challenged until that fight, and
Right,
I think Gilbert really showed like how much he really can do, and just because he's a BJJ kind of guy,
right.
he's got hands, bro. He's put down Kamaru Usman in their first fight.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to put down Kamzat. So,
Mm-hmm.
dude, in this fight,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
look, we saw what happened to Jorge against Kamaru, who is not known for his striking.
Right, right, right.
Like, we gotta be honest here, bro. Look,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a chance, bro. I
Oh
know
my
Jorge's like,
God,
hey,
bro.
like, oh, bro, this is light work. Like,
Yeah.
I need it, not light work, but he's like, I'm gonna go through him,
Yeah.
and all that talk. But like, bro, don't underestimate Gilbert, bro. Dorino might mess you up, and
I mean,
that's
that
what's
you're
so
right.
interesting about this play,
Mm-hmm.
dude. It's just you know, the competitiveness
Mm-hmm.
is it's up there. Like,
Right.
we're talking two top level guys,
Mm-hmm.
and sure, Jorge's a little bit older, and I hated that he even said those talks about even retiring,
Right,
because
right.
it's just like, bro, like, don't say those kind of things, because that's kind of like a not an excuse, but it's like, it just, I wish he didn't say that.
No, I get it. It brings some finality, win, lose, or draw. But to be honest, Jason, I think that like a part of it's talk. Because dude, last time, like, I'm pretty sure he's only 2 into like his super
Seven
sick.
fight,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no way. Like, he can retire, but I'm pretty sure you tell him like, oh, dude,
money,
like,
bro.
right. And let's say, for example, that Conor McGregor gets through like Michael Chandler, right? You're telling me that Jorge doesn't want to stick around for the potential for that. Even look, regardless, right, belt or not, right? Obviously, bro, that if for some reason, all right, MMA math prediction, right, gets through Gilbert, gets title shot, somehow beats Leon in a world that in that world, right? You're telling me that that chance of the Conor McGregor payout for the belt isn't gonna be there? No, and I think Gilbert even said the same thing too. Where like, we could have a situation where even if Jorge loses, like, Jorge could be like the new Nate Diaz, the sort of
Right,
unintentional journeyman, but that is some of the best
right.
superstar power that can benefit the UFC by either rising potential stars or just having great fun fight matchups. Because like that would be super fun to have. And bro, there's some other fights out there too. Like if Nate Diaz for some reason comes back, book that be the
Oh,
BMF belt again, right? And is it Wonder Boy or welterweight as well? We can run that back as well because Wonder Boy's doing great right now too. And then honestly, bro, like, and even if like for some reason Dorino isn't there for some reason, like not for if for some reason Dorino overtakes Jorge, right? Jorge still has other matchups that can get him back in there. He still has that fight deal there. Like, dude was on the cover of what was it, the last UFC game. You're telling me that he don't want to bank on that, bro? Like, no, bro. Like,
no.
I mean, he has his own promotion and stuff too, but let's be honest, bro. Like, most of the reason why that anything's even happening is because of that spectacular performances he can put up when he's on, ready
Right,
to go. So, it
right.
could. I think for me, this retirement talks really putting himself in a position where he has to fight. Because again,
He needs to,
guys, yeah, because
yeah.
guys like him who grew up the way he did, and South Florida, both Cuban immigrant parents, right, as well as being rough from the streets or whatever, right. I'm not gonna say what that mentality leads to or what it doesn't, because obviously sometimes it leads to fantastic performances. Other times it gets 3-piece in a soda and altercations before his other fights, right? But at the same
Right.
time, like that kind of mentality, that kind of dog in him is what lets him come back from crazy fights, like the spectacular fights against that Darren Till, because Darren Till was on the rise when he fought Jorge Masvidal. Jorge
Yeah,
shuts that train down too. Ben Askren, same thing. Let me tell you, right? How crazy this is, bro. The UFC traded Demetrius Johnson for Ben Askren, and then Ben Askren's like up to his peak, fights Jorge, then gets downhill from there, right?
yeah.
Jorge has the ability to to rob people of their star power for the benefit of his own. In the sense of like not obviously not robbing at gunpoint, but when he starches you and sends you to the shadow realm like he did Ben Askren, and Ben Askren has to box Jake Paul for a living right after, right? Like what do you do you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah,
So we can never count on Jorge, but if we're gonna talk about like the skills and styles matchup and even the momentum, who has the momentum at this point, you're right. Like Gilbert's going up and Jorge's going down, and that's the reality of the situation that we're in. And those retirement talks, like I was saying before, I think for me are a way for him to like. I don't want to say it's a backup excuse. I want to lean more towards like I have to. My back's against the wall. This is when I have to rise. This is where like I have to have the dog in me. Roof, time to
right.
fight. That kind of shit.
Right.
Like he this is it right now for him, and it's good for, again, like you're right about in the sense like it could provide an excuse, and because a lot of fighters have seen that too. I mean, because when it happened to Glover in Brazil, like that was an excuse. It was his age was there and stuff too, right? But like, it still sucks to see like a legend like Glover retire because he had such great performances. Even that fight, had a great. I mean, obviously Jamal was doing great work against him, but the fact that Glover was still there, like even though it sucks when that kind of moment happen. If Jorge may do that, but I don't think it will happen. But you never know with the emotions of the ring that are there. If he gets starched, for example, like Kamaru Usman style, or gets okay, it's easier getting submitted because again, like if we're going to the more of the breakups and stuff right now, we can kind of start like that, right? So again, like let's say for example he gets submitted. I don't think that's just one of the weaknesses that he has is just his grappling, not grappling, but his wrestling defense. That's the part, right? Because I think he can when he uses the offensive wrestling and clinch work, he knows enough to where he can take advantage of that stuff, right? What makes Jorge Masvidal really great is that I think he has the ability to turn the switch and go from like throwing punches at 40 or 50 and switching that at 100 really quick and being off tempo. That's the great about his level of striking is that he's the momentum and tempo he can put into a fight. He can dictate it, right? And there are some moments too, like the Colby Covington fight. You guys saw her. If you guys have been old enough on the channel and TikTok, right? You know how heartful that fight was for me because I voted for my boy Jorge, and I even put in the freaking edit of me just being pissed off as the fight was going on because I was like, oh, never kind of Jorge Masvidal, and I still believe that, but we know that you can work as much as on wrestling defense as he wants, but someone like Dorino, whose last fight where he basically got as soon as he touched Neil Magny, he submitted him. And as well as someone who's also been working on his wrestling defense beforehand, because Khamzat Chimaev, we saw him what he did to Kevin Holland, took him down within the first interaction. He did not manhandle Burns like that. He tried, but the whole time you and me were like, holy shit, Gilbert Burns is actually putting up a great fight against him because Gilbert Burns is one thing. This is not talking about ages and fighters, but Gilbert's ability to adjust and learn throughout each next fight is almost unparamount, right? Because after that Kamaru Usman fight, even he didn't have a good showing against. Not good showing. Even though he didn't get the win against Khamzat, he had such a great performance that you can't count this man out, right? He made Khamzat bleed, that whole thing, right? We see that he obviously is great submission because, bro, like that black belt in jiu-jitsu is always key. He's got the dog in him to fight, and we see he's taking less shots overall. What the fans really love about Dorino is that he's got that dog in him ready to scrap. But as you saw with that Hamza fight, that is not necessarily a good idea, taking too many unnecessary punishments for that. Gilbert's even said leading up to this that he listened to what one of the critiques that Israel Adesanya gave him, and it was that like, yo, I eat too many shots. And think about it. You eat one or two too many shots from guys at high level. Like, think about Usman. Like, I get it. Some guys need to take one to give one, but, I mean, bro, like, Gilbert's such good enough in all the games where a rounded skill set in his game where like he can start implementing stuff for like, look, my takedowns, my wrestling, everything and grappling, all I have is going to prevent all these structures from going nuts and crazy. So him working and slowly improving that part of the game where it's like, look, some of these strikers know that I like fighting a lot, but not taking as many hits to the point where he was able to, because Neil Magny was up and coming, had a great win streak as well, right? Again, we don't talk about him as much because it's one of the Bilal Muhammad situations, right? Like they put the work in quietly and they do their great things, but when we saw against Gilbert Burns where I feel like he could have banged with Neil Magny, instead he took him out, made a master class of grappling to where like, what are you telling me that someone Neil Magny who's still Jorge Masvidal's last 3 or 4 opponents have only been like championship bred, but Neil Magny's opponents were along the same. They're all rising stars. He's literally like in the status where it's like they keep putting him in these fights where it's like you gotta fight these up and risers. And Neil Magny was showing great showings against these guys. But then when he put him against Gilbert Burns, what happened? Ran through easily. There's no disrespect to any of the fighters on the roster, especially Neil Magny, who's been putting the work in. But that shows that even though I look at this too, right? Neil Magny had a reach, height, and all these little different thing advantages over him, and it just got neutralized with the bread and butter and basics of, hey, let me get my defense up, not get hit by Neil Magny, a great striker, and just put him down easily, right? If we had that exactly, and again, like Jorge Masvidal, he's improving on his stuff regardless, right? Like when I said before, of him able to turn from 0 to 100 real quick, one of the points I wanted to bring up was that in that fight against Colby, obviously it was sad. It was sucked to see him like in that high level, having a high level fight with such high emotional stakes can cloud your judgment. So, well, I take 50-50. There's obviously it's a real fight, but that fight had so much more going to it. I don't know how well Jorge was able to perform in that situation, right? Again, he also had that little NFT necklace too, and I was like, that's a curse already. That's how you get sent to the Shadow Realm, so whatever, right? But he didn't do that now, so whatever, right? But one of the things I noticed about in that fight against Colby was, this is more credit for Colby than Masvidal, but even when towards the end of, I think the round 4 or 5, when Masvidal was, still getting beat on by Colby against the cage. He was able to drop Colby in one instance where he just was like, switch it up,
Yeah.
dropped him that quick. Even though Colby got up really quickly, right? If Jorge did something like that earlier on and capitalized more of that, that's what I'm saying, where it's like he has the ability to go 0 to 100. So I don't know if it's the right thing to say 0 to 100, but turn it on so quick to where like mixing up the different flow, setting up a pattern, and then being able to just change it. And when he changes it, he makes you pay for it when he changes it too.
Right.
Same thing happened with Darren Till as well. That's how I was able to catch him off guard. That's the little things that, like, with Jorge's fight experience on the street and professional fighting, those little things and just that experience alone is going to really help him sort of dictate the flow and momentum of this fight if Gilbert allows it. Gilbert has such is dude that goes forward. Like I said before, he's learning to not take as many shots, but when he needs to take a shot, he can take it, bro. We saw the time, dude. Some of those we saw what Usman did to Jorge and those same power shots he did to Gilbert as well, right? Gilbert, yes, both of them got finished, but Gilbert literally at least wasn't knocked out completely. He straight up was like, all right, let me just fall on my back, let me do wrestling, and then he got starched after against Usman, right? But Jorge was sent straight to the shadow realm, right? Again, MMA math is not actual math, guys. So I'm not saying A equals B equals C right now, right? But what I'm saying is that, like, if we're just throwing on the level of the chin, we know that Jorge's chin is, he took a year off, right? And then he fights Colby, another emotional loss. My question is, though, like, with all this leading up to it, and even the talk of his decline in his career, does he have the skills? I think he may have the skill set, but does he have that? I don't know what he would need to get over someone like Gilbert, because Gilbert presents every style, every problem that Jorge's had in the octagon. Gilbert represents that style and additional threats as well. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on both of their styles and breakdowns, as well as what each fighter can do to kind of get the victory over each other?
Yeah, so I think one thing that you said, I wouldn't want to say disagree, but I think something to look at is I don't know if Gilbert Burns has the strongest chin. I would argue, like, in any fight that he's had, like with Kamaru, he did get dropped
right.
with the jab.
Yeah.
With Kamzat, he also got dropped
Yes.
a few times. I mean, they both are powerful punchers, so I guess you could say, like, you could argue that. But like you were mentioning with Adesanya, he did say, like, he needs to work on his defense,
yes,
right, on striking.
Yes.
And he gets caught a lot. So I think that's where Jorge can capitalize on him. Because Gilbert tends to get into not stay smart. Not that he's not smart, but I've noticed when he's fighting, right?
Yeah.
When he gets in the hype mode, you just start throwing.
No, he's brawling, bro. Right? Swinging and banging, bro. He becomes Tai Tuivasa in there. He becomes like Justin Tafa. He's swinging. And don't get me wrong, in the heat of the moment, that the excitement and battle, like it's fun. That's why he's such a fan favorite, and that's why this fight's so amazing. But this is one of those cases where it's like you have to go against your tendencies, those things, because a guy like Jorge, where again, guys back against the wall. He just needs to overcome you to get some, to be back in it, right? Those little things like that are, again, how does it affect each of those performances? Same thing, the idea that, like, look, like, if I put a good performance, bro, like, does that mean I get my title shot? How does that change how a fighter approaches the fight? Because, like, look, again, you don't want, for both the main event and co-main event, you don't want either anyone in the fights being like, oh, this is just another fight, bro. You're like, no, this is not just another fight for either fights, right? Because both of these fights have serious implications to it. So in terms of, like, how both fighters can, how at least for this co-main event, how that can affect each other, I don't know, man, because that part of it where I'm scared for both fighters in that sense, right? Will Jorge be more cautious in some aspects when he needs to be more aggressive? Also vice versa. Will Gilbert be more aggressive when, he sees blood? Because, again, remember, what's great, when that moment, I keep going to the moment where Jorge drops Colby. That part alone, I think in a new world, different training or more time to train or whatever, or just maybe one or two more fights, Jorge Masvidal probably get a little bit more wrestling training against Colby. I think that hit when he lands against Colby in a different fight later on would have done a lot more damage if he had the better tools and defense on those little technical things in the grappling to kind of capitalize on that kind of stuff. So my point being, though, it's like, look, because of the other stuff going on in this fight, as well as, obviously other altercations during fight week and shit like that too, right? Those things, I'm just worried that, like, for a guy like Gilbert, when he needs to, like, slow it down a little. He ramps it up, gets caught, and a guy like Jorge, who may need to ramp it up, slows it down. He doesn't need to. I mean, bro, like I don't know, man. This is an interesting case for both fighters.
Yeah, no, it's basically opposites of each fighter. Like, one person is too aggressive and gets caught, and the other is not aggressive enough and loses in decision. So
Right.
That's basically what the scenario is, and I think, we talked about this whole retirement talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, like, just my opinion here, I really think Jorge is going to step it up this fight because he's given himself that ultimatum. Mm-hmm. If I don't win, I'm going to retire, right? That's what he's been telling me.
Right.
So he's also under the implications that he's going to get that title shot next, or supposedly going to get the title shot maybe. So if he has those kind of pressures on him, I'm hoping that that's a trigger in his mind to, like, he needs to perform so that he can get to that level.
He needs to go beyond Ben Askren levels now, bro. He needs to, like...
I mean, yeah, please. Absolutely. That or more, or just need to be... It should be a decisive way of winning, basically.
Right.
And if he doesn't do that, and if he loses, then he knows, like, okay, he's going to be... He still has those fights, so either he might actually retire, or he's just going to be like that, like you said, the super fight guy, just taking on, like, these Nate Diaz style, like,
right,
amazing matchup styles. Nothing for the title, just for the fun of it, just for the fans kind of fighter, right? Which would be cool for us. I'm gonna enjoy that, but I know for him, I hope that's not what he wants, and I'm assuming he wants to get that title, fight Leon. Right. There is that storyline that could be built up. So
right.
I think with all that being said, I really think, like, I'm gonna assume that Jorge is gonna take in this fight as serious as he possibly can.
Yeah.
I know even during the training time, he brought in a lot of wrestling coaches, high school wrestling coaches to help him with the wrestling defense. So I think just a side note, I honestly think he did a decent job even against Colby.
I would agree. I would agree.
Look like it as the whole time, but if you really watch that fight back, he was really holding himself on his own. Like round.
Dude, you're right. Because not even just the eye poke. Regardless, right? Jorge got that fight to obviously unanimous decision, but based on Colby's style, he's able to put away guys and make it look like Colby's got great finishes on his thing too, right? Bring him down to his style to where he brings them in such deep waters. And Jorge was in deep waters and he almost drowned, right? He almost drowned, right?
Absolutely.
But again, like there was some moments where he shined, and it's just like, that's the part of it where it's like, look, is another part of it because of his age. Again, I don't want to push ageism or anything like that, but let's be honest, bro. Like, he's been a fighter for a long time, and I'm glad he was able to get the success later. Exactly. Again, like, he's not like, these are street fights too. These homies are striking, and he's doing the grappling. The high level grappling is coming in the UFC, So again, I worry that, like, more damage, more unnecessary damage, or worst of all, during some things in the Colby fight, seeing some of the times when he was slowing down a little bit just because of the pace like someone like Colby brought. Yeah. That's, again, Gilbert has the ability to do that, and I don't think when Gilbert doesn't waste time like that either. I think Colby has a good job of not necessarily wasting time, but there's some opportunities where I see he would go. There is probably a way he could fight for the finish if he wanted to, but instead he follows his game plan, drags it out, and then rounds 4 or 5, that's when he's really ramping up the pressure, right? We see in all the Usman fights, the Jorge fight as well, like that's what his style is at that point. So someone like Gilbert, no, bro, he'll find that opportunity. He'll fight for the opportunity, and if he gets tired between rounds, oh well, we know he's super tough anyway, and he's been learning from it. And even if he can't find it, that's what I'm saying. Like Colby, I think Colby's more. Obviously, I'm not saying these fighters don't go for the finish, but I think Colby banks on his plan for the later rounds, where Gilbert's like, I have a plan, but I'll find the opportunity. Screw it, because dude, you find that submission opportunity as a BJJ guy like Gilbert, you best believe he's gonna crank that neck, grab that neck, take his back, do all the things he needs to do just to make it look easy. Especially for the fact with like the title implications that we said before. And I think it's a chance we can go into more of the styles and skill sets, right? We know that, like we said before, that Jorge is primarily a striker who's been learning through the fire and crucible of the grappling in MMA, who he has shown some improvements in, which we all agree. We talk about now, we go on Gilbert Jorginho's side, bro. We talk about a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy that became a fan favorite because of swinging and banging and striking as well, who's able to put some pressure on guys like Usman, dropping him a little bit, right? Dropping guys like Hamza and as well as showing some elite grappling to where he can, dude, some guys in the octagon, you could be training, you can have a win streak, but he'll put you out in round 1, bro. Gilbert Burns is such a, again, like both these fighters have so much on the line, but it's about who dictates the pacing. And I think this is where, for me, this is where the fight can go, or who gets the winning exchanges in this fight. Because Jorge's I don't even like to call it kickboxing, but street boxing style, whatever you call it, right? The way Jorge fights, he's gonna try to, like, he's great at counter striking away for the opportunity, and Gilbert's a guy that moves forward, right? So if we're going on the technical aspects of it, that's where I wanted to bring up once again. Gilbert can't be eating those strikes, because this is where I think for Gilbert to win against Jorge striking, I think he's got to be first and third. Meaning that he's got to get Jorge to, like, react to something, because Jorge's already knows these striking games really well. So going back against the cage trying to brawl, we've seen what he did to guys like Colby, and if he was able to catch Durinho early or later in the rounds when they're tired, that's not going to be good. So Jorge's going to have to really, again, egg on Gilbert's aggressiveness to really capitalize on some of the striking opportunities. And he's going to have to, I think, to build up confidence in this fight as well, he's going to have to go into 1 or 2 grappling exchanges, especially on the ground, and get back up from them. If he can get a couple of those during, then he can at least signal to Durinho that this won't be an easy night in the office, right? Where you can't just manipulate me on the ground, because he has to build that confidence and respect early on. Otherwise, Gilbert's going to run over you like he did Neil Magny. And then I think another thing for Gilbert, though, is that, like, look, I have a situation where I can see something where Jorge maybe overcommit like Cyril Gane did, and then, like John Jones, Gilbert could capitalize on it too. Because if Jorge is looking for a spectacular performance and he overcommits to something he can't do, I don't think a flying knee's gonna work. Durinho isn't a crotch sniffer like that, you know what I mean?
No,
that shit is probably not gonna work on a guy like Durinho, where even if, let's say, for some crazy thing, something like that even lands, for example, I think he can scramble himself back up early enough to either neutralize or to make the round even at that point, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think I agree with you, bro. I think it'll be interesting to see how this matchup goes, because, like you said, I think if Gilbert wants to take it to the feet or take it to the ground, he might be able to. And this is where we'll really be able to see how much Jorge has worked on his wrestling defense and his wrestling counterattacks.
Yes.
So, meaning, if he's up against the fence, can he move and switch positions or even attack while in a vulnerable position, right? Because I think that's something we didn't really see in the Colby fight, is when he was in those bottom positions.
Yeah.
He wasn't really attacking back. He was having a hard
defending. But to be fair, we showed some examples where I remember Colby getting his back, and Jorge could have been submitted a lot of times during that fight. He showed some survivability there, though. So I just want to make that clear too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think just being able to, not be easily taken down, but also, like you said, counter on Gilbert's attacks, because like you mentioned, he is a very good counter striker. I don't know if he's really good at counter striking. He's good at being explosive.
Yes,
those are 2 things that I've always noticed that Jorge does really good at.
Right. And
I think his timing on the explosiveness is going to be key in this fight.
Right.
Luckily, Jorge's been having a lot of 5-round fights. This is a 3-round fight, so I'm.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
His gas needs to be a lot better, because he hasn't fought a 3-round fight in a long time.
God, I thought it was a 5-rounder. Are you serious, bro?
Nah, bro. I'm pretty sure it's a 3-round fight.
Yo.
Yeah, because it's not like a belt on the line. It's not a main event. So
shit, you're right. I didn't think of it like that. I just assumed. Bro, why would you not want 5 rounds of potential like epicness, but 3 rounds of you're right. 3 rounds of high compressed epicness, to where, like, hey, I don't gotta worry about as much on the gas tank, bro. That's gonna again, a fight's a fight, and Durinho can make it feel like a 3-rounder is a 6-rounder because of how much he fucking pushes you.
I know. We saw that at this comeback fight. Like they both were exhausted after all the swinging.
Right, exactly.
But this is a 3-round fight, so I'm assuming Jorge will have a lot better gas tank in the fight because it's only 3 rounds.
Right.
But like you said, it could be dragged out because of how Gilbert fights and putting that forward pressure the whole time. It really, I want to see, because another talk was during the discussion like this whole week was Gilbert, from his coaches, was that he wasn't following the game plan a lot, and sometimes he'll just kind of go in there and do it, like just go crazy. And I think in this fight, let's see if Gilbert can even follow the game plan, whatever that game plan is.
Right.
Let's see if he's going to follow it, or if he's going to be like, you know what, time to swing and bang. We're in Miami. Let's put on a show. Like, he could do that. And if he does that, it's going to be amazing for us, but will it be a good thing for him? That's where it's going to get interesting, man.
Bro,
I
we
think on the
just
feet. Go ahead.
no, I was like, bro, we just got unlocked the new mythical fighter, smart Gilbert Burns, technical Gilbert Burns, and that's just like,
Hey,
look, I get it, bro, but I get it. You want that 50K bonus, you want fight of the night, I get it, bro, but at the same time, bro, like, my guy, you could get that pay-per-view points potentially if you fucking play your cards right, and that's okay. The 3-round fighter makes it really different, interesting now.
that's
That
what I'm
kind of
saying, dude. You have
that
a
shit,
ton of
that
time
shit.
on fight,
Oh my
so
god, bro! You're telling me they have less time to determine their fates right now, bro? You're telling
exactly.
me Jorge Masvidal's potential trajectory rides on 15 minutes. Gilbert Burns' title shot rides on 15 minutes. That's not gonna be enough time. These boys. Oh my god, Jason. Oh my
That's what I'm
god.
saying, bro.
Oh, yo, the stakes have just got even higher, bro. Yo, oh
That's
Jesus,
what I'm saying,
oh
man.
my God, bro, it's about to be a grilling in Miami, bro. The stakes are high. Oh my God, dog.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus.
It's crazy, bro. And that's the thing, right? It's just, it's only 3 rounds, and they both need, like, not they both, but
Mhm.
Jorge, like, we've talked about it this whole time.
Mhm.
He needs some kind of crazy ending, crazy finish or something, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I was trying to say. Like, dude, he's gonna put that foot forward and have forward pressure, hopefully, and really show like his dominance. And we'll see if he's game bred and if he can, if he's the BMF, like if he's
Mhm.
really the BMF. So
All right.
I'm excited, bro. I cannot wait.
I am too, bro. And I mean, bro, before we go to predictions and stuff, I think what you brought up a good point about explosiveness. I think that another thing good for Jorge is that I think in terms of speed, striking and speed, I think Jorge edges it out over Gilbert, right?
Yes,
Gilbert has,
yes.
I think, by power, obviously the speed and technique of Jorge is very good. The technical aspect of how he lands his shots is very good, right? And he does it in such explosiveness. That's why it's so hard to like see him when and react against, right? But someone like Gilbert, it's like Usman. Obviously the grappling's there, but he developed his strike to the point now where it's like you gotta take it seriously. You gotta take it seriously, and you gotta make sure you counteract that. So I think Jorge's speed is gonna be a huge factor in this if he really wants to get that epic finish that he's looking for. But I don't know, man. And then for Gilbert, he just has to be the same fighter who he is and just be more smart about it, right? Look, I'm looking forward to see a Gilbert that can do some crazy bobbing and weaving on Jorge's strikes, and then dude, it would be some craziness. Bro, the fact that it's 15 minutes means these guys are gonna be swinging and begging for sure, though. Oh my god! But all right, man,
Absolutely.
let's go into predictions and path to victories. And in that case, bro, let me know your thoughts, bro.
So I mean, I guess we'll start with Gilbert. If it's a path for victory for him, it's gonna be through just playing according to the game plan, whatever that game plan is. If that's taking him down, putting him against the fence, landing punches from the fence,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just staying busy and outscoring him
Mm-hmm.
or submitting him. Those are the two ways that I see Gilbert's path of victory of winning. I don't even want to say knockout because that's, I mean, sure, Kamaru Usman did it, but I think that was one of those once in a lifetime kind of opportunities where
Mm-hmm.
Kamaru just caught him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, hey, it's a fight, so anything could happen. But I think if we were to just put money on it, and if we're putting those kind of stakes at it, I think it would be path to victory for Gilbert Burns would be through either submission or just riding those 3 rounds out and
Mm-hmm.
just outscoring on points.
Mm-hmm.
For Jorge, man, there's a lot at stake here for him. So I really think it could either, man, dude, it's 3 rounds. I'm hoping he can do something significant and
Mm-hmm.
either TKO him
Mm-hmm.
or wait, whoa, hold on. I don't want to get my prediction. I mean my predictions. Whoa, sorry,
Okay. Okay.
I got ahead of myself there. Well, I meant to
Okay.
say
Okay. Let's see.
Jorge Masvidal's path to victory is either TKO,
Okay.
um, knockout, and maybe a decision, but I would not count my. I wouldn't. That would be my last. That would be my last way for him to win. I think
Mm-hmm.
the first two would be either be knockout or TKO. So
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think those are the pack to victories. It's going to be really interesting how this fight goes. And I forgot to say something.
Mm-hmm.
If Gilbert's going to keep this on the feet, man, he really needs to watch out because one of the things that I just remember listening to this week is that when he's on defense, when he's in the striking, he doesn't move his head enough.
Yeah.
He gets caught a lot. So
Yeah.
let's really hope he doesn't. He hopefully learned that during camp and made
Yeah.
sure to put that into his fight. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, those are my paths to victory. Do you want me to say my prediction too, or
I hold it because now I'm curious, but I want to see if I
all
can
right,
potentially change it with my passive victories, bro. So
all right,
I would
all right.
think that I would agree with pretty much almost everything you've said in terms of passive victory. Let me just add a couple different things. So for Gilbert, right? Gilbert, what's again, he's got a lot more skill sets that benefit against his fight against Jorge, right? We have the better in terms of technical grappling. Probably it's gonna go to Gilbert. In terms of pacing at that grappling pace, it's probably going to go to Gilbert. Now, what I think is going to be great, what Gilbert can do to get the finish is really going to capitalize on the feints. And what I mean by that is that we know that if what Gilbert has to do is land one or two good takedowns in Jorge and potentially make himself in that position, ingrain the seed of like, hey, I'm going to do a takedown anytime I switch, I lower level change or anything like that. And honestly, what he could do from there is tease that level change and go back on top. Tease a level change, throw up with a leg kick. Everything comes from that level change to level change, jab, level change, or level change to the jab, and then everything else from there. Because basically, from that point on is that Gilbert has a stiff jab, and if he catches Jorge enough times with that, it forces Jorge to react, and then boom, that level change is gonna be there. Because it's much harder to predict a strike coming rather than the level change. No, I'm sorry. It's harder to predict the level change rather than for the strike because again, bro, like Jorge, he's also a dog where he might eat one, but then he might eat one to throw the counter, and he might just swing and a miss, and then boom, Gilbert has his waist and just dragging him down. That's one of the clearer paths to victory. And I think also if Jorge overcommits to some of his strikes, like we saw on our last UFC card with or the couple UFC cards with Suragon and John Jones, then boom, that's another thing for Gilbert to take advantage of. And let's be honest, Gilbert Burns has the striking power too. So if he just wants to stay in the same plan I implemented earlier, level change, but then come back on top after doing some body shots, head body, baby, simple as that. Basic boxing 101 right there. That might be it for Jorge if the overwhelms him. Jorge's is a lot in terms of a hill to climb. It's a lot more difficult. Like you're, bro. Like Jorge has to have a lot of things on point, and if we know the wrestling is one of the biggest things he has to focus on, that means for sure, and grappling or any kind of close quarter situations, or if he's anywhere close to the fence or backing up, he's gonna have to do lateral movements 101. And this is where I think he catches the key. Remember how we were talking about that explosiveness? I think again, I'm not a technical MMA guy. I'm not Safe Sayud. I'm not some. I ain't Trevor Whitman. I'm not smiling and watching my fighters get knocked out and coaching. Right? Like that's not what I do. That's not who I am. But here's what I will say: the lateral movement's going to be the key. And if Jorge can position his jabs and strikes off of the off tuning of the lateral movement, he can really make a difference. What I mean is that like I don't know how I'm going to show this exactly, but he goes like 1, 2. He's going out of the way because this isn't to not just hit up the striking, but to avoid those wrestling exchanges, right? Because even if, Gilbert level changes on him going left or right, then he's going to have to turn into those takedowns a lot more, and Jorge can sprawl a lot better, in my opinion, in those instances, right? And then in those instances where if Gilbert can't exactly catch him, that's where Gilbert explodes, and when he does an exceptional movement, he just maybe goes to the right a little bit more than anticipated, then loops a left hook or something like that, or gives him a stiff straight jab. A lot of things when I saw, I'm going to the same. I'm trying to implement the same strategy that Alexander Volkanovski did against Islam in that similar sense, where you're gonna use a lot of lateral movement, tease a lot of different things, and then when he's ready to, when you get him. When Jorge, for example, if he's leading the striking exchanges, gets him uncomfortable where Gilbert has to throw down the takedowns, boom, lateral movement, get those strikes ready to go. Be clear of him trying to do those takedowns and any grappling or sprawling exchanges because those are only going to add points, ground control time, and everything for Gilbert because that's where his bread and butter is going to be. So,
Right.
I mean, that's how I see both packs of victories are. I think because, again, for Jorge, he has that power and explosiveness, but he just has to utilize it. Utilize what his opponents thinks their advantage are against him and use that as momentum to trick his opponent and catch his opponent. Because, bro, and then look, obviously the knee is also going to be there too. Like I said, if Gilbert is going to be doing a lot of the wrestling exchanges, then Jorge's his most famous attack, that crazy knee's there too, right? And again, if Jorge also is in the grappling exchanges or in those clinch exchanges, specifically the clinch exchange on the fence, and he throws in those body shots as from leg kicks to knees, that will really severe and neutralize a lot of Gilbert's gas tanks. And obviously, if you get those leg kicks in, that should be good. But again, the leg kick game is a bit different for Jorge because if Jorge throws a leg kick and Gilbert catches it, that's a little bit more scary, right? Right, he could just pull it up, right? Or he could just go with the single or set up the double. A lot of different things there. But if Jorge's confident enough in his striking, if he's able to stand up in keep standing in those exchanges and make Gilbert pay for that kind of stuff, hey man, I mean, this could be a whole different crazy kind of fight. And like you were saying before, Jason, with both of fighters having different stakes on the line, both having significant this is a life-changing fight for both of them depending on how this fight goes, So, I mean, let's go into predictions then, Jason. Let me know, bro. Give me your thoughts. Well, how you going to predict this fight to go?
Man, bro, this is where it's really hard to kind of, I guess, pick and decide. But man, I think it's a 3-round fight. That's a big factor for me in this, and I really think, with those high stakes in mind, I'm gonna go Jorge Masvidal. I'm gonna go Jorge Masvidal. I believe in him.
Shit.
I think he can do this.
Okay. But how? How, Jason? How?
That's the big if for me. But you know what? I think it's gonna be. But I can't pick a round because it's only 3 rounds. But I will say I think it's gonna be a TKO.
Okay.
TKO.
Okay. Is it gonna be the signature flying knee or just any kind of TKO? You hope.
Any kind of TKO. It could be something similar to like what he did to Darren Till. I don't know. I just think it's a TKO of some sort.
Okay. And Jason, I love your prediction because I predicted that when he fought against Colby, and I was sadly mistaken. But I hope you're right, bro, because that would be crazy if he ends up putting right. But honestly, bro, for my prediction, I can't lean against Jorge. I can't lean with Jorge this time, and not that I don't believe in it, because it would be exciting if he wins, bro. It would be so exciting. It'd just be like a John Jones Cirogan thing again, right? If he wins in such exciting fashion, the sky's the limit, bro. But I think that with what Gilbert offers on the table, I think he has more chances to seize the win later on in the rounds too, right? Round 1's going to be a sort of a feeler round, but I think rounds 2 or 3 is where Gilbert can really shine as well. Both fighters are probably going to be, if the fight doesn't end for some reason in round 1, rounds 2 or 3 are going to be spectacular rounds for both fighters. And I think that's where Gilbert's going to shine. If he is a calm and tempered opponent, which I think when the fight later on, when he goes up against his urges and his coaching reins him in and is like, yo, man, you're doing good or whatever, just keep the momentum, keep calm, do whatever you need to do. Gilbert's almost unstoppable, bro. Like, he is like, that comes out fight really showed that, like, bro, that decision could have gone either way a lot of the ways. That it just, after that comes out fight and knowing that someone like Hamzat, was able to, Gilbert was going up against a guy like Hamzat, survive and make himself look better after that and make Hamzat not look as good at that. That mythical fight that we got, and technical Gilbert Burns is something we can't ignore. I think he gets the job done in rounds 2 or 3 via submission, because I think that what he has to do, Jorge knows that's coming, but all Gilbert has to do is set that up off the jab, get Jorge thinking about different things, and even he could set that up so easy with a body kick. Jorge tries to respond, boom, get out of the way, grab his waist, take him down, and it's his turf and territory. And Gilbert has the dude, because even when, another thing I noticed too is that Gilbert also during COVID and all this stuff, when UFC wasn't happening, he was still competing in BJJ, bro. He was still grappling, he was still staying active too. And Jorge, when he got knocked out by Usman, you're off, trained for Colby, then got freaking decisioned on again. So it's like, if we're going by just momentum and all the things both fighters have presented up to this point, Jorge's gone up and is stagnant, it's trending down. Gilbert's, after that Usman fight, it looked like it was going downhill, but then after all those other fights and all those great performances he's had, Gilbert's worst enemy is himself, and all he has to do is just not go into his, crazy ass Saiyan urges of wanting to be a fighter, you're trying to be like this shit's Dragon Ball, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, bro. If Gilbert and Jorge want to be Goku and Vegeta and give us the greatest fight ever, I am all for it. But if we're talking about implication, what this fight means, bro, they both fighters have to play this in a very different strategic way. My question is for you, Jason. We both give our predictions. Let's do another crazy prediction, and not about who's going to win, but how this fight's going to be. Both these guys are dogs, but both have the ability to strike. I feel like a lot of this could be a lot determined on the ground. What do you think? How much of the fight think's going to be on the ground? How much of you think is going to be standing up?
I think since it is 3 rounds, I could probably maybe see throughout the whole fight. So we got 15 minutes of fight time. I would say maybe total I would say maybe 3 minutes of like, if any, it would be like maybe 3 minutes of just on the ground
Okay.
throughout the round. I'm saying like a minute
Around, right?
now.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I hope.
There.
I hope you're
I
right.
don't know.
I hope you're right. But
Because I think Jorge, really has worked on his wrestling defense. Like
Mhm.
he really took a lot of time to do that this time around because he was not happy with the performance against Colby. So
Right.
like just leading up, I mean, everything that I was watching, he talked about bringing a lot of coaches, working with Bo Nickel and his father, and all that. So I think, I mean, if he's working with those kind of people that are known for their wrestling, like Bo Nickel, Bo Nickel's father, high school wrestling coaches, all that. Even going to, I think, Michigan, or I remember him saying something about going to Michigan or something.
Yeah.
Training up there. So if he really like went and really put in that time, I really don't think it's going to be. I mean, sure, Gilbert, he's a BJJ, he's good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all that, but I think Jorge can hold his own and not get taken down. And if he does get taken down, I don't think he's going to stay there for that long. So.
I got you, bro. I got you. Jason, I think we've talked a great deal about how this fight's going to go. Overall, I think for Fighting Out on the co-main, this is going to be a monumental fight. And I thought this could, how could you follow up a monumental fight like this with anything else? But they ended up doing it. Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya, 2 in MMA, as well as technically 4 overall in their total career. The stakes for this fight are even crazier in terms of legacy, bro. In terms of goddamn legacy, right? You have a dude who both fighters started off as kickboxers, met each other twice in kickboxing. Israel Adesanya, I think the fan consensus, everyone agrees that he definitely won the first fight, robbery decision. But then the second fight in kickboxing gets rocked and slept. Goes over to MMA, dominates. To the point where like he makes these fights look boring. To the point where people complain about how good he is and how boring his fights is. Granted, some of them were snoozers, sure, but price of greatness being some people can't understand it. What are you gonna do, right? But fine. Right. But then he says this one interview where he's like, "Oh, that Pohatong guy, he's just gonna be in a bar somewhere saying I beat that guy. I beat that guy," and rises a fire in Pohatong to come back and being the greatest hater anyone's ever seen. To the point where the memes of this guy being the greatest hater of all time, oh my God. I love Alexander Poatan. I can't understand anything he says, but the memes and the hating attitude he has, my God, man. To beat this man twice and then come to a different sport, get fast-tracked because he beat him the first time, knocks out, and again, obviously, there is a criticism about him that I will get into, right? About how he got to his journey. But he gets fast-tracked, puts almost basically knockout performances back-to-back, except maybe one case against Bruno Silva, which means Bruno Silva is also a mythical fighter if he's able to somehow survive this dude, right? That's a side note, right? Bruno Silva needs his love because he survived Poatan, bro. But gets his fast-tracked and in their title fight, again, Israel Adesanya says he's going to do all this and that, whatever, right? Fight comes along. Israel Adesanya is putting up a masterclass in most of the fights. Maybe loses round 2, but whatever. Puts up a masterclass in grappling and totally, made it clear this ain't kickboxing again, bro. This ain't back in China or wherever we fought in Japan or whatever, right? This is the UFC, baby. And this means MMA. Mixed martial arts. I'm a wrestle and grapple your ass, bro. My name is Israel Adesanya Nurmagomedov today, bro. And that homie was showing some great, and he was dominating that fight. But for some reason, bro, the MMA gods are, I don't know why they decided for this to happen, but the ability to give Poatan to recover after such a massive weight cut, fight this dude, was losing the whole time, but then all of a sudden rally in the last rounds. And in our video when we react to it, I said this is what came out. Like, he pulled a Leon Edwards, and he literally did it, something no one thought for before. Checks a leg kick from Israel Adesanya, which Israel Adesanya says that, hey, he damaged it earlier, but fine, whatever. Checks it back. Israel Adesanya rolls back, and then oh my God, Poatan goes in, and that left hook of doom just starts off, and then he's just going in, and then gets Israel Adesanya out by TKO. That's the thing. Pereira just needs to like throw something right now, dude. Like, the leg kicks are like, he easy can see those shots from him. Oh my God, dude. Oh. He's done. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Dude. Oh my God. He's doing it. He's doing it. Oh my God. Oh what? Holy shit. This literally, he pulled the Leon Edwards. Oh my god! He did it again! He fucking did it again! Get the fuck up! I'm blue! Get the fuck up, dude! You saw history again!
Oh my god.
Now, Jason, before we get into this fight, before we talk about all this craziness, let's just clear the air and get our opinions on how that last fight went, bro. Did you think that was a fair stoppage from Mark Goddard during that last fight?
I think it was with an asterisk because there's been a lot of talk about that, and even Adesanya was also very. Sorry, I said.
I love it. No, I like it.
I don't know. I like saying it like that.
Yeah, I do too.
But,
That's good.
But there's been a lot of talk about him, and he was saying like, I didn't really agree, but honestly, I think it was just he wasn't really throwing anything back, and he wasn't defending well either.
Mm-hmm.
He had his head like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
might
be able to see his opponent still, but you're not blocking. You're like this.
I think he was more in like he was more in like survival mode rather than fight mode at that point,
Fight mode,
And
right.
dude, if you see that footage in slow mo too, because I was rewatching that fight in that slow mo. Right. Dog, I thought originally after watching that fight, which fresh in your mind, you're like, okay, maybe a little bit longer, but I still thought it was good. But when you slow that fight, dude, he lands almost all the shots in that last sequence. And Israel Adesanya, dude, and you see the ability, that left hook can come out anywhere because he was able to do it at such close range. You see that slow mo, bro? That shit is devastating, bro. He's a destroyer. And I was like, bro, if Mark Goddard didn't come in and step in, I agree that Poatan would have gone desperate enough to throw a knee in there, and then Israel Adesanya would have been starched at that moment, bro. In that moment, because either that or an elbow or something nasty to where, like, bro, Israel Adesanya may have lost and got embarrassed, but he would have been fucking memed. Even though Poatan is already being meme level, right? He would have definitely been gotten memed even harder, right? If he was able to get that finish. So, like, in that kind of fashion, So that's just me on that part.
I agree with you, bro. I just like the way it looked. Like I think it was an amazing stoppage. Like maybe an extra like 2 or 3 more seconds, but even then, like it didn't look like he was there. Like you said, he was survival mode at that point, so it wasn't look like he was going to land anything back. And honestly, he probably saved him a few brain cells, if anything. Yeah. So, dude, yeah. Besides that, I think the main thing that I really noticed in that fight is, Alex can come back from anything.
Yes.
This man.
Yes.
This man, because he was losing that fight.
Yes. 100% no question. Maybe he gets 1 round, and that's like
maybe, and that was that round 2 when he took him down. That was
Yeah, even then, bro, like.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that, like you mentioned, Adesanya showed him what is MMA. This is not kickboxing. This is mixed martial arts. I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna ragdoll you on the floor for a whole round. He basically did that for I think a whole round 3 or round 4.
Yes.
He kept him on the ground, ragdolled him, and then 4th round he did his thing, just off of points, just won the round. And 5th round it was like, man, like, bro, you ain't gonna win this fight unless you not like TKO him or knock him out or submit him, right?
Right.
And let's be honest, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting him to win. I was like, oh, well, Adesanya gets the belt again. He's a champ. But then, bro, just out of nowhere, bro, this man, he comes back from hell. He comes back from the bottom of the ocean. I don't know why I said that analogy, but that's what came to my mind. The Poatan came back and, bro, ended him at the end when there was probably like what I don't even remember how much there was in the.
It was like at least a minute left, and even then, like it was
left,
close to where it felt like the Leon Edwards situation all over again.
Right, exactly. So, dude, it's just it doesn't matter. Like even in this fight, the only way I will ever count Alex Poatan out,
he has to be starched. He has to be starched.
Yeah. Starched, or the fight needs to be done.
Right.
If I was going for him, I'd be like, bro, I still think he could win, even if it's round 4. Even if Adesanya won all rounds 1 through 4 decisively, and it was the 5th round, I'd probably still go for Pereira just because. After this,
yeah. Now, of course, like, bro.
Dude, and literally, he can starch him at any moment if he just, If we're looking at power, I think both of them have power. I mean, I don't know if you. I don't know if you wanted to say anything about the last fight because I was
No,
curious
no,
to know
no.
how
You
this
no, no,
one
no,
went.
no. You're good. I said all I needed to say on it because I 100% agree. But yeah, keep going. Then we can go into skills and styles and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, no, I was gonna say when it comes to power, right? I think they both have. I wouldn't say equal amount of power, but I would say pretty close.
Yes.
Because another thing in that first fight, I don't know if you remember, at the end of that first round,
Who could forget? Who could
yeah,
forget, bro? That shit would. Oh my god! In another universe, that round had 10 seconds left. Adesanya, we didn't even be talking about Poetan.
not even 10 seconds. I would say even 6 seconds. He could have started that fight,
Exactly.
bro.
Exactly, bro.
That fight would have been over. It would have been over right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he was that round. That bell saved him, and
Yes.
he was able to come back. But
Yes.
bro, so when it comes to power and stuff, like I think they both. I wouldn't say they have the same equal amount of power, but I would say Adesanya is definitely like really close up to him
Mm-hmm.
because I think his technique is so good that he lands it in the right spot to
Mm-hmm.
where I've noticed. I was watching a lot of like just the build up and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he one thing that they were talking
The
about a
Sean
lot
the
was
Sean Strickland fight, right?
well, not the Sean Strickland. I was talking about Adesanya actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, so when he throws his punches, right?
Mm-hmm.
He actually covers Pereira's left. I don't know if you saw this video.
I did, and I know exactly what you're talking about. He essentially what he does is there's a couple of components to it, but let's go back and forth on it, right? One part of it is the feinting part where Israel Adesanya throws so many feints. Pereira is just like it's weird to say deer in headlights, but he's like trying to parry and catch it. And then what you were saying, yeah, I know exactly. Go ahead, finish it.
So he basically he puts his jab hand out. He
Mm-hmm.
covers his
Yeah.
left eye, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the
Yes.
left eye. So he doesn't see the next punch coming.
Yeah.
In the back of that,
Yeah.
the next punch is coming. He doesn't see it, and that's what caught him. That's
Yes.
what caught Pereira in
Yeah.
that first round.
Yes.
So I don't even know if it's a power thing, but I think it's more of a technique thing
Mm-hmm.
and catching them off guard. I think that's what really Adesanya is really good at. He can, he tricks you.
Mm-hmm.
He throws things when you don't expect it. And
Yes.
that's where I think Adesanya has a much bigger advantage in Pereira because Pereira he's more of a power. I would consider him a power puncher, meaning he has a lot of power in his hands,
Mm-hmm.
and just one or two of those can really mess somebody up.
Right.
And I'm not saying he doesn't have skills or anything. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, if you were comparing it to Adesanya,
Yeah.
it's like, bro, the man has technique
Mm-hmm.
and explosiveness and great movement. And I think that's what we saw in that last fight. That's what we saw most of the round. Like,
Mhm.
most from round 1 to 4, that's kind of what we saw. It was
Mhm.
just being kind of outsmarting Pereira in a way because, like you said, he was doing that thing where
Yeah.
he was trying to catch his punches
Yeah.
and wasn't able to keep up with the speed. And I think that's something that I noticed a lot in the fight. And
Mm-hmm.
dude, just second time, I'm even though they've already fought 3 times, man, I'm excited to see what this 4th time is gonna look like because, bro,
You're right, bro.
it's-
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Adesanya is on another level. He's coming hungry.
Yeah, bro.
Doesn't have that pressure of being champ anymore. There's
Mhm.
there's been a lot of talk about that, and dude, he's coming to hunt, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what that looks like. But yeah,
No, bro, you're dude. You brought up some great points. Side note, though, this is a little bit on the anime Naruto side of it. So you know how Adesanya,
Yeah.
you brought about how Adesanya talked about moving someone's hand away to blind someone. In our Naruto episode, we've watched this when Naruto was fighting one of the Pains. He blocks one of the Pain's vision to make it think it's one thing, then punches him and then knocks him out. Do you know if you remember
I didn't even
that?
notice that.
Yeah, he
I-
blinds one.
I
He
haven't seen it again.
because again, this is not MMA fans. This is the Naruto fan geeking out, right? In Sage Mode, Naruto he fights one of the Pains. He uses Frog Kumite, which uses Sage Mode on top of his Taijutsu. He uses his hand to kind of block it out of the way, and then lands the punch. And he was the fist doesn't land. The Sage Mode part of the energy lands and knocks out one of the Pains cold. And I was like, and I saw that part of it in the breakdown. And I was like, I know Adesanya may not be advertising anime as much in this fight, but that man's finding inspiration. Because when you brought up that point, Jason, now we're not less Naruto, now more MMA, right? Israel Adesanya is straight up to make room for his punches to land. Because Pereira is a strong dude on top of having that lankiness and range to block the strike. He's straight up grabbing his hand, clearing it out of the way, and then capitalizing on the strikes, right? And even if he's not grabbing on the way, he's giving Pereira too many things to think about, right? This is an MMA fight. This is Pereira's first title fight in MMA. So, again, maybe there's some nervousness to it, but Adesanya was throwing so many different feints and rings that Pereira was like, again, I don't want to say deer in headlights, but he wasn't sure how to respond to some of those things. To the point where, like, Adesanya pulling the hand away and landing some strikes in, as well as him doing a jab combos in too. He had some great able to just get the jab off so well to where like switching and also another thing Israel Adesanya does so much well, which ties into your point about technique, Jason. He's ability to switch stances on the fly is almost seamless.
Easily.
It's only thing like someone like who can even compare, and I think the UFC close would be like Dustin Poirier when he sometimes switches stances when he off the jab sometimes, but Adesanya just does it so naturally. Like the style bender thing is so cool that is a nickname because like bro the way he's again that fighting his prayer right, throwing different feints, switching stances, throwing those leg kicks, and then as well as threatening the wrestling. Those are so many things that Prayer has to worry about rather than worrying about punches and kicks, right? That's just blocking the face and checking versus in grappling. Like okay, you can check a kick, sure, and that may hurt the other fighter, but say you check it wrong and I grab your leg, boom, how's it again? That left hook can only do so much if I'm on your back. You know what I mean, dude? Like
Right.
so again, like you were saying before, the last time he was winning that fight up until that point, but again, championship grit isn't when you're winning the fight and dominating. It's you find that out when you're actually on the ground. You're getting the stuffing beat out of you. How do you come back from that? And he came back from that heavy. And one of the great things, Jason, you brought up about about Poaton's left, right, is that since everyone's so worried about the left, Adesanya during the last fight was always trying to block that fight. And even this fight, he said like, look, he throws it 10 out of 10 times. I have to block it 10 out of 10, not 9 out of 10. Not 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times, right? But because of that doomsday level of a left hand, that means everything else in Pereira's game is not as paid attention to. Adesanya has fought him enough times to where it's like, okay, like I now know this. But any other fighter in the roster, bro, like in terms of technical kickboxing, Adesanya's in his own echelon. Then there's Pereira, and then Robert Whittaker is somewhere in between them. And there's everything else up in the division, right? In terms of MMA kickboxing, and we're talking about integrating it because Poaton's so big, and like again, I know it was hard for Izzy to get some of those takedowns on because that dude's so fucking huge, bro.
Huge.
He's huge, bro. Dude, that dude, I bet again after this fight against Israel, I feel like he's gonna vacate the weight class because that weight cut is just so monstrous, bro. He probably he probably cuts to 185, but then he probably weighs in they say 210, 215, bro. He looks like a 225er, bro. You got me fucked up if you think that he's not, bro. The power he brings in from the post rehydration is insane. If we talk about more on his left hand, right? Everyone wants to talk about the left hand. Let's talk about it more. That left hand that he comes from is what's great is that I noticed this against the Sean Strickland, Bruno. So all of his fights, that left hand is never at such a high position. He starts it off low. Either if he's standing up straight, bring it up top, or he does small level changes, not to the level of like for a takedown, but a level change through the body, and then rises up with it to bring that power with the left hand even more, devastating and destroying. But here's the thing: Israel Adesanya was doing a great job of dodging most of that fight up until the very end of towards the end of the fifth round, right? What's crazy about it is that, let's be honest, in terms of, I think Israel Adesanya is the more technical fighter all around in every aspect of it, right? But I think Pereira is technical enough in kickboxing to where the make of the difference in the technicality is the power, just enough technique and a little bit more, and already abundance of power to where like he just has to catch Adesanya making a mistake one or two times to capitalize on that, right? Even if it's not the power, he's a genetic freak, bro. Israel Adesanya said the leg kicks hurt him at some point. Checking a leg kick, right? This isn't even him like throwing a leg kick and it like messed up properly. Like Poatan checked it early on. Israel Adesanya said it messed up throughout the fight, but then regardless, that later round happened when he checked it. That ended the fight altogether, right? Sends him back. Izzy had to do a backwards roll to recover, and even then, that's when the fight was beginning to end at that point, bro. How again? Israel Adesanya is he has to be built different to kind of fight a dude that's literally like a wall, a steel wall in front of him, because Poatan just isn't going down unless you're someone as technical as Adesanya who can capitalize in exchanges like he did in the first round, bro. So I don't know, man. That's just some of the technical aspects, but let's not even forget like the mental aspects going into this game, bro. I watched some of the press conferences for some of this stuff too, bro. Like. I watched today's press conference. It's Thursday, guys, when we're recording this, but when it drops Friday. But yeah, most of the time, if anyone who's watching this pod probably saw the press conference, bro. I don't know how to make of Izzy's mentality, but Poatan's having a great time knowing he has all that mental space in Izzy's head, and Izzy is just like I don't know, bro. He's wearing a lungi. He's got a dog collar on with a wife beater. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, shit, man. I don't know. Hey, bro, if you want to turn to Malayali dad to beat ass, they're certified. So shit. I can't deny that. Fuck, you know what I mean? Shit, you can't.
Honestly, I was watching that too. I was like, man, it's not the same Izzy that we're used to.
Yes.
But I think that has to do with him,
realizing the stakes.
Yeah, and also I don't know if I've been hearing this phrase a lot this week. Is in a way, I think Poatan has his number.
Yes. Some fighters just gonna beat you 10 out of 10 times. It's just, bro. He's got to be the one dude that can beat him, bro. And it's just unfortunate that it's that case, bro.
You beat him already 3 times.
Yes.
So, and I think when you know that, like, you lost against this guy, you've been the champ for so long. That pressure's there.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's kind of in a position where it's like you got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose. If you don't win this, you're not going to get another title shot unless he's not the champ. So
right.
He has all these things to worry about, and I think he's just focused on the game. Like like even on the press conference, he literally said,
"Fuck the belt."
I'm not. Yeah, he's like, "Fuck the belt. I'm coming for his head."
Yeah.
He said, "I'm done with all these questions. I'm doing this only because I have to, but I'm ready to fight. That's all. That's his focus is fighting.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care about any of the after the media stuff. None of that. He's like, I'm just here to fight. I want to fight him. I want to fight him tomorrow." He said all that stuff. So,
but again, Jason, he said a lot of this again, not to this intense degree, right? To where like he can't, not the crazy walkouts, none of the steam stuff, right? I'm glad he kind of got rid of that to focus on this, but like the behavior of like, oh, I'm a dog off the leash, bro. I'm like, hey, I wouldn't bring collars and shit like that, bro. I don't know that kind of fan base in Miami, but okay, bro, sure. Hey, bro, they got big dogs down there for all I know. Shit, so hey, yeah, he may got on the right, but I was like, the vibe, it's weird, I get it, like, and and when I look in his eyes and I see his demeanor and stuff is super serious, but the action sometimes, like, he's just he's so focused on the fight, and with the fight of this this momentum and status and the pedestal it holds in both of these fighters' minds, as well as how it stakes for the UFC, bro, like, there's so much going into it where I feel like this is a case where, like, yes, maybe Poatan has his number, but I also think that I think of it 2 ways. Either Israel Adesanya is going to become the Terminator, and we'll see an Israel Adesanya that was like against Whitaker, against Acosta, where he just dominates them, or he's going to crumble hard. And when I say that, I mean that kind of seriously, because that mentality, like, we don't switch to where it's like, all this shit, I'll fuck all that shit. This isn't Izzy. Izzy's more like a free flowing, like, not easygoing, but like obviously when it comes to the fight, he's deadly sure. But like during the press conference and stuff like that, like you can tell this fight is affecting him in some way. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not pitching if it's good or bad. But bro, let's be honest, bro. We know that what's gonna happen after this fight's gonna be huge, bro. Which again, we're gonna have to talk about later about what happens to either fighter if they win or lose this thing, right? Because that's crazy to think about. But even so, like, those little things in the back of my mind, as well as the fact that Izzy was winning the last time, but regardless, the result's the same. Like, how do you, as Israel Adesanya, how do you go into this fourth fight against an opponent, that's been mollywopping you, a bunch of different times? Because the one aspect I'm like, I gotta respect you, bro, because at this point it's like, it's almost delusional to think you can beat a guy that beat you 3 times, but maybe that's the kind of dude you need to beat to actually beat this dude. Maybe you just gotta, like, because if he does a performance so spectacular that, like, he actually puts him away in such a convincing fashion where it's like, hey, yo, maybe Poatan was good at this point, but this is actually, like, that last one may be a fluke. Then Israel Adesanya really showed the difference at this point. But I don't know, man. Like, it's such a crazy fight to think about, and I mean we can go into more styles and stuff, but let me hear your thoughts on some of the things I've said or some thoughts you have on your own on this fight.
Bro, so I think one thing that I'm, like, a little worried about is actually, this is something that we saw in the last fight card that happened with Kamaru and was it Leon?
Yeah.
Right? In that fight, I sure it wasn't like the most craziest, like, the second time around. It wasn't as crazy as that, but it was more, to me, what it looked like. It was more Kamaru Usman being afraid. In ways, having that fear of getting knocked out, right?
Yeah. His hands did not come down in that fight. I'll tell you this much.
he was very he was a little gun shy, I would say, in a way.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like he was throwing as much. He was trying to get him on the ground as much as he could, and that pressure wasn't there as I'm used to. You know, it seemed like he was a little off, basically. Like during the lead up, everything looked normal, but during that fight, I knew like something in his. He was a little nervous to throw. He wasn't doing as much as he normally would in other fights. He wasn't having that normal forward pressure, you know. And I think that is from a mental point. He wasn't. I think it was too early for him to take that fight.
I agree.
And I don't think he should have taken more time off to really, you know, let that knockout, you know, really go through your system.
Honestly,
about it,
to
really.
build that confidence back up too, because you were saying that gun shyness comes from confidence, and that I mean,
Right.
in that fight, Kamaru Usman did take one of Leon's leg kicks and survived it, and then kept moving forward
Right.
too. So he did show that, but if he realized that he could be a little bit more as aggressive, because that's how he was winning the fight last time too.
Right.
And
Right.
that's how Izzy was winning the fight last time as well too. So
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm trying to make that comparison here. I think there was a good amount of time in between the first time they fought, but you know that could be a factor in this fight. Will you know Adesanya did say, let me correct that. Adesanya did say in this fight that he's the hunter. He's coming to hunt him. He's coming for his head.
yeah,
All that. But is he really going to do that? That's where I think is going to be. It's going to be really interesting to see because if he's still if he's still kind of gun shy and he's not doing what he said he was going to do and like keeping that forward pressure and mixing it up, dude, it's going to be a long night for Adesanya. And sure, you know, you fought him this is going to be your fourth time fighting and all that. Even that could be a mental thing in its own. You know, you've already fought him 3 times and you couldn't beat him.
right.
So is that going to be a factor in just having those mental games? Be like, man, I wasn't able to beat him, and like, I don't want to get caught. I don't want to get knocked out. Like, so like, you know, let me be smart.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you need to be smart, but is that you know, do you want to be too smart to where you're not even throwing anything and you're just kind of playing defense? Like, these are things that.
That's how you lose a fight. That's how you lose a
Exactly.
fight, and especially the judging too.
Right.
You don't want, and you don't want like, bro, like because again, like, there's some fighters that are great at blocking, but when these crazy volleys land, they could block all of them, but then the crowd goes wild, the judges hear that, and then scoring is messed up. You know, so you don't want to be like that either. But I don't think Israel Adesanya, because even though it's been like almost less, it feels like it's only 6 months since the last time he's fought, right? And that was against Pereira. I feel like that was a while.
Right.
Yeah, so he wasn't like knocked out starched, but I sort of taken more time. Honestly, should have taken more time, but because I see it, I don't. Again, maybe we could be wrong, and I could be misinterpreting his demeanor, but I feel like even though Jorge realizes his back's against the corner,
Like 5 months.
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Even though Jorge realizes his back was back against the corner, from Israel Adesanya demeanor, it looks like he fused that his back against the corner. You know, the ways from the way he looks at Poatan, the way he's responding to these questions, the way he's carrying himself, bro. Like, dude, it's such a crazy dynamic to see. It's even to talk about Israel Adesanya, MMA in this context, to where like, because it's funny because no one else would ever bring this crazy level of conversation we have against Israel Adesanya. You know, think about it. Guys like Marvin Vettori, beat Bulls, and like Paulo Costa, them these crazy people in the division. Yeah, it's this dude from another sport that just essentially, you know. Which is where I'm going to start giving a little bit critiques about some of Poatan stuff and technical breakdowns now. Because Poatan essentially got a bit of a fast track to this fight, and I think that could be why he was losing most of the fights up to this point, right? So let's look at it in terms of technical breakdown. Israel Adesanya brought up this point, which I have to agree wholeheartedly. Israel Adesanya went through a gauntlet to become a champion. Kevin Gastelum, the defenses against Paulo Costa, the fight against Robert Whittaker 2 times, and one of the a fucking Jared Cannonier, bro. Yoel Romero, boring fight, but still, technically the most scariest fight any man on earth could face is against Yoel Romero.
Fighter, everything.
Yes. Who do you have for, Poatan? Sean Strickland. And again, he has Sean Strickland. He has Bruno Silva, and then the guy he needed in the face, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Gusta something.
Yes. Gustalabe. I don't remember his name, and I'm sorry if I mess it up. But we know enough to where he put him to sleep with that flying knee, which was I think his first fight in the UFC, which everyone went bonkers for. So,
right.
But he got let's be honest, Israel was right. He got the fast track because of his relationship with Israel Adesanya.
Right.
But he
Right.
capitalized on that shit. Now, in the last fight, Israel Adesanya was making him pay for all the times of his lack of experience with the wrestling, the grappling, and making him uncomfortable in those situations. So, if we're talking about what both fighters bring to the table, Israel Adesanya transitioned to kickboxing to become one of the most complete MMA fighters, and up until the point he lost, a complete champion up until this point. Say what you will about those dud performances, but right now we're focusing on the technical aspects of what he does great in these fights, right? Like we said before, it really comes down to his footwork, his ability to mix things up so well, and his speed and his striking and his how cerebral he is in his fights, to where he's able to do these such technical, crazy, hard combos as if he's like closing his eyes and like nothing's happening. Like he's so good with that. We talk about Alex Poeton, bro. Dude's natural tree, a redwood tree in human form. Dude literally feels like an unmovable object in the ring. However, we know that because of that power, even though he's a great kickboxer, he is a world champion. I'm not trying to discredit it, but in terms of technicality, like we said before, Israel Adesanya is a little bit, I think, even substantially a bit more technical than Poeton.
Yeah,
but
I would say so.
But Israel Adesanya needs to, I think, to maximize that speed and power, he needs to have the tenacity, not to be just show that he's better, He can't have that Floyd Mayweather approach to where it's like, even though like I'm way better than you, I'm just gonna play around and dance with you. That has to be gone, bro. Because after that round one of the last fight, Israel Adesanya knows he has the power to finish him. He has to go on that instinct immediately. Because we now know that if Poeton has time, again, a lot of times it's Poeton finally nailing your pattern down, because that when he checked that leg kick, that was, he was ready and ready for that leg kick, because by the time that was there, he knows that Israel Adesanya is going to try to capitalize, throw something below to try to get something up top or to feint something. That check leg kick, wherever it happened, made the difference in that fight. So Israel Adesanya is going to have to really make sure that like he can't give Poeton the time needed to think. He's going to have to do a lot of the same strategy he did in his first fight, overwhelming him with the feints, overloading his system to where like he can't really react to a lot of stuff Israel's throwing. A lot of the same plans he did last time, he's going to have to implement again, but at a more dramatically faster, high level, and a more honestly unbearable pace he has to bring to Poeton. Because if Poeton has time to corner you, to hold you still, and have time for that left hook to land, it's over. Poeton has that power on his side. He's got that the technical kickboxing experience on his side too. So, and the fact that he's fought Israel Adesanya, the same opponent, 3 different times, that means that at a certain level, he's going to have an understanding of his opponent and how he works. Vice versa for Izzy. But with Poeton, he has that natural gift, that natural genetics, but also that power in his left hand. But it's also his ability to learn. During that fight, he showed that even though he messed up some of the takedowns, he did land one of those takedowns, albeit it was horrendous by most people's standards. Hey, a win is a win, buddy. A win is a win, dog. A takedown's a takedown, bro. No matter what. You know what I mean, G? That is still worked. And if Poeton is able to withstand Israel Adesanya's earlier onslaughts and still have that durability and pace himself a little bit more, I mean, not even, because again, because Poeton is cutting a lot of weight, I feel like he was getting tired a lot in that fight up until that 5th round when he got remotivated by Glover in corner, So Poeton has all the tools. He's already beaten Izzy 3 times. Okay, 2 times for sure, 3 times on paper, right? Chess.
Right.
Still, a win is a win. No, we can't discredit that. Israel Adesanya has to jump over a huge mental gap. Poeton just has to keep doing what he does, be sharper on his defense where it matters, and not get flustered by all the feints Izzy throws, and not be afraid to implement his power, and not just in his hands, but in his kicks too. Because we know that if Israel Adesanya is looking for the left, always looking, ready for the left, then he's not going to be as paying attention to the right as much. Israel Adesanya has the ability to, but for most fighters, it's just a lot to think about. So I don't know. Poeton's going to have to show something new if he wants to really bring down Izzy, because Izzy's been probably since the fight ended, has probably been studying him back and forth. Yes, he did take some time, but I have a feeling that Israel Adesanya is the only thing he's been focusing on is this guy, for better or for worse. So that's just some of my thoughts on how this fight could go and what they need to do. Jason, what do you think?
Nah, bro, I like a lot what you said. I think like you kind of mentioned at the end there, I think Adesanya is really taking this fight seriously, because he was even saying, even in the last fight, he was already kind of thinking about what's next and all that. But this time around, he has no plans for what's next.
Good.
The only thing he's thinking about is Poeton Pereira. That is it. He has no thought about anything past that. And I think that's a good way to think about it. To not go think past your opponent and any of that, because he knows it's not an easy fight. He's lost 3 times against him already, so he knows it's not going to be an easy fight for him. And I think with the when you were talking about some of the stylistic, not stylistics, but like the expectations for both fighters, I think one thing that I'm looking forward to into seeing if Poatan will bring into his game plan is more wrestling and more takedowns, because he is working with Glover.
Yeah.
So maybe he's working on. I don't know if he's working more on like wrestling defense or if he's working on takedowns on his own. But either way, I'm hoping to see that more, because in that last fight, Adesanya kept him down for a whole round easily, no problem, and that also kind of shows that Pereira doesn't have a lot of experience in these 5-round fights. This is only going to be his second 5-round fight in UFC. And his gas tank was not up to par, I would say.
Right.
Like, that third round, he wasn't able to get up.
Yeah.
And if he's a big guy, so he should be, in technicality, he should be stronger than Adesanya. He wasn't able to get up because of that gas tank. And I think that's going to be a factor in this fight, too, is can Pereira, sure, Pereira was able to do it in that last 5th round. But if Adesanya is going to keep that pressure on this time, like you were mentioning, you said to keep that pressure and to keep that momentum going and not slow down too much and just keep that forward pressure, keep him confused. If he's able to do that, I don't know if Pereira will be able to, register all that in and also be able to, keep up with the gas tank, because these are factors that will be interesting in this fight. Is can he keep up with the gas tank, and can he register everything that Adesanya is going to throw at him? Because if he can, bro, it's going to be exactly like the last fight. It'll be those first 4 rounds. Maybe in the 5th round is going to be exactly what happened in the last fight. Just outsmarting, outclassing Pereira. Because, like you said, Pereira has power on his side. But I don't know if he's fast enough to react to Adesanya's speed. Because that's I think that was one of the major differences.
Yeah.
We talked about that Naruto thing you were telling me about, with the covering. He wasn't able to react fast enough to catch the next punch.
Right.
He got caught. And in this fight, I think Adesanya needs to do more of those kind of things where he's confusing him. And sure, Adesanya has power, but I think it's the real power is when you're catching people when they don't expect it. Because when you're expecting a punch, you might be able to take it better by moving your chin with the punch and stuff. But when you're able to catch opponents without them expecting the punch, that's where it really hurts. Right. We've heard that so many times, and that's what happened in that end of that first round. He wasn't expecting it, and he got caught.
Right.
So I think in this fight, if Adesanya can do those kind of things more and more, and be able to just catch him a lot without him expecting it, confuse him, keep him doing this, trying to grab and not be able to, take in all the things happening at once, question mark kicks, body kicks, leg kicks, everything he did like you said, everything that he did in that last fight, technically he did an amazing job. He did everything he needed to do. Yeah. It was just at the end he didn't, that, like you said, that leg kick and the check of the leg kick changed the momentum. So that's the thing, right? Like, you just, it happens, right? You get caught in you throw a leg kick and it hits that wrong nerve, and then what can you do, right?
The freudian nerve's fucked, and then you can't move properly.
Right, exactly, and that messed up that whole game, and he lost the fight. So, if I'm being honest, like I think Adesanya, if he just if he doesn't let the mental get to him, and if he can just keep doing what he's good at and what he's always done, bro, he has all the tools to win. He can definitely beat him. But at the same time, that phrase, man, does Poatan have his number, bro? That's where it's gonna be. Can he get past that mental game? Yeah. And I think that's where it's gonna be really interesting to see, and that's why it's such an interesting matchup. And like you mentioned, bro, sure, Poatan doesn't really deserve to be here that fast because he's only had 3 fights in the UFC and he's already at the top. Right. Crazy to me, but he had his number back in the day. Right. Beat him, and he was able to get there. And it's going to be so interesting to see, like, has 2 things. Has Poatan learned enough from fighting him in MMA to capitalize and do what he needs to do to, win more decisively than rather than just getting that last minute finish.
Hmm.
Does he have enough gas tank to do that? Does he have enough training and understanding in MMA and the UFC to be able to keep up with Adesanya's speed? And I
Hmm.
think it's gonna be super interesting, bro. So I don't know if you want to get into like maybe paths to victories
Let's
and
do
stuff
it.
like that.
Let's do it, bro. And I think that you pretty much did a lot of what Israel Adesanya needs to do, right? If we're going past your victories,
Right.
bro. I mean, let's
Yeah.
first give it to the challenger, former champ challenger Adesanya, right? He has the tools he needs to get it done. I think it's just pacing that fight in a different direction, right? No more playing with your food, bro. Like you had that confidence in round one, and I feel like when ego starts to get a hold of you, you start making mistakes, and that's kind of what happened. Because honestly, by the end of the fourth round, his corner could have told him just to survive and coast, and he could have done that. And he probably kind of did that up until that leg kick went wrong, you know. So I mean, like, I'm not saying he coasted, but in sense of like that urgency to win the fight is kind of not there
Yeah.
when you're already in such a high lead. But that's what I'm saying. If Israel Adesanya wants to finally get some respect on this name from this man, once and for all, especially in the name of fighting the whole fight game as a whole, he's gonna have to keep that pacing up really well, right? I honestly, I would even like if he, I would say keep that momentum and striking that he had early on, right? Get ready to move those hands out of the way, but even throw him body kicks early on to get Poatan thinking about blocking to the body rather than blocking his hands or his face, you know, and then boom, Adesanya can then capitalize after that, right? And then I would say to really, you know, I just don't know when the wrestling would apply because if Poaton's expecting it so early on, he's going to have that wrestling defense ready to go. And if Israel Adesanya does it early on, I feel like if he does the wrestling too early, too soon, that's going to take the gas tank out. And then, boom, that's when
Mm.
you have the later rounds again where he loses. And remember, Jason, I don't know if you, this is going to be another crazy statistic for you too, bro, but, you know, we've seen Poatan fight Israel Adesanya 2 times. The first time kickboxing, decision, controversial decision, but second time, guess what? He beats him by
Knocking out.
knockout. Guess
Yeah.
what? This is a new sport. First time, definite decision. What do you think? Hey, yo, this historically, you know, this means if you know, data. If we're analyzing the data, bro, glasses on, analyzing that data, bro. The data says Politan's probably gonna win this too. But if we don't take that into consideration, just by skill sets, MMA is a crazy sport. So that's why Israel Adesanya, he has improved enough in all aspects of the game where he's the only fighter I think that can present him a challenge would be someone that's even better at wrestling against Poatan and it can handle that power. But even then, like he's got doomsday level power. And to that point again, like Israel Adesanya's packed of victories, like I said before, maintaining that high paced momentum, implementing those takedowns. But I would say even feinting those takedowns, getting Poatan to react to waste energy, and then capitalizing on from there and moving out of the hands of the way. Straight punches beat looping punches, but so he's gonna have to move his hands of the way and then clock him every time he lands a hit on him. He has to have the intention of them knocking him out. I'm not saying go 100% every time. Don't want him tiring out early on, but instead of going 50, put them at 70 or 80 because those extra punches adding up over time like that. As he had Poatan at the end of that round and most of that fight too. So which is probably the most frustrating thing for Israel Adesanya is like every time, well, most fights, most of the time he's fighting this guy, he's probably dominating, but then something stupid or something crazy or something happens to where like it just doesn't happen now. So Israel Adesanya has to take time out of the equation because both these fighters, time is a weird thing for them because if the more Poatan's in the fight, the more likely he's gonna win. That's what happened with all these fights so far, you know. If Israel Adesanya has to keep Poatan at, you know, keep him there where at the space where he needs to operate, getting his distance because Israel Adesanya really is good at checking distance and checking his range. And once he's establishing it, he's gonna fire on all cylinders. But fire extra cylinders. You got extra cylinders, fire that shit too, Izzy, because like that's what it's gonna take to beat a guy like Poatan, especially if we have the saying that number for him. Poatan's just gonna have to be there, be present, and be in Israel Adesanya's face, and then just get ready for that left hand. But also, Jason, I think if he wants to get respect across the division, he's gonna have to do something pretty crazy in terms of the grappling department, bro. He's gonna
Yeah.
have to. I hope he attempts to some takedowns, but getting ready for those sprawl exchanges, but also throwing some feints of his own to get Israel Adesanya thinking about other things too, right? Why can't Poatan is just as proficient, not just as, but close enough proficient in kickboxing to where he can present a challenge to Adesanya. He needs to implementing some of those games of feinting to where getting Israel Adesanya to react. But again,
Mhm.
Poatan's gonna be the most dangerous right at the beginning, but also probably his most vulnerable, and then he's gonna get more dangerous depending on how the fight goes later on as well, bro. Because Israel Adesanya was tiring him out with his wrestling exchanges, but it conversely probably tired him out as well. So when you're going against the guy that Poatan, you're gonna have to use the momentum against him for those wrestling exchanges. And with Poatan realizing that, is he gonna be as willing to go in those grappling exchanges or accept those positions? I don't know, bro. But Jason, let me know your thoughts, dog.
Nah, man, I kind of agree with everything you said, just path to victory wise. Like I think it'll be important to see, like you said, Adesanya needs to keep that forward pressure, and when he catches him, or if any time where has the dominance in the striking, keep it going. Don't back away, and sure you need to keep an eye. You need to be smart, like don't get caught, but keep that pressure going, because if he had done that, like you mentioned in that first round, if he had done that just a little bit earlier, we're talking about a different kind of fight completely. Adesanya is still the champ. That's what we're talking, right?
Yeah.
So if he just keeps that forward pressure going, being smart with movement, and also one thing that I do want to say, not getting caught going backwards and getting against the cage, because that seems like a dangerous spot for Adesanya to be, and he should have space to be able to move around. And if he is, Pereira, even though he's not like throwing a lot and always like doing like what Adesanya is doing, he still has that forward pressure.
Yeah,
and he makes Adesanya move back, and at some point he gets him to basically where he's against the cage. That happened a lot in the first fight. So I think one thing Adesanya needs to do for path to victory is to stay moving, not let Pereira's forward movement cause you to move backwards and get against the cage.
I agree.
Lateral movement is going to be super important in this fight. Being able to move around him and not get yourself in a position to where you're just moving towards the cage, and then from there Pereira doing his thing.
But I would also agree keep his guard up, because even when he would circle around in the last fight, he got caught with that hook kind of in there too. So staying sharp with that, I agree. Yes, you're right. So
I would say, if anything, maybe move more towards your
left side,
or his right.
Oh, his right.
He doesn't get caught. Because you don't want to move towards the punch. So
right.
I mean, he probably knows that already, but I would say, like, just for passive victory. I mean, let me get to the passive victory at least. So I think. Wait, did you already say your passive victory?
Yeah, I kind of did basically. Yeah.
All right. So I think passive victory wise, it's going to be for Adesanya. It's either going to be, he definitely has a chance of knocking him out, TKO or knockout. He also has definitely has a strategy of being able to just decision win.
Yeah.
I think those are all three possibilities that could happen in the fight, because we've seen moments of that even in the kickboxing fight and in the MMA fight.
Right.
So I think TKO and KO are both definitely possible, and decision is also super possible. And if we're gonna say how it's gonna happen, if we were to say like, what are the chances of it happening? It would really just depend on how Adesanya fights this fight. If he does what we've been just saying, if he's able to keep that pressure going, he could definitely win in those three ways. And then on Poatan's side, he just needs to do more of what he already does with that left hand. Because sure, he threw it, but he didn't. Sometimes it seemed like he wasn't really setting it up properly, and he was also focusing on Adesanya throwing and doing this motion a lot, trying to catch everything. Like, he needs to just be able to kind of go forward and keep that pressure and use his jab and do what he needs to do to set up that left.
I agree.
Bro, landing that left, it's like 100 XP damage, 100 HP damage, basically. So he has that power on his side. He also has really good kickboxing on his side. So if he can also mix up the kicks, you saw what he did. If Pereira was able to do that by throwing leg kicks, maybe throw more of those and start that early off in the round. And if he can land that earlier in the round, starting in that first round itself, it's a build-up. It's a great build-up for the rest of the fight, and it could be similar to what happened in the first fight. So I think Pereira's passive victories are also KO and TKO. I don't know about decision, because I just don't think Pereira throws enough to really get that decision, especially against someone like Adesanya.
Right. He's more of
But
I think yeah, because I think Pereira's more efficient in his power rather than a decision
right,
hunter. You know.
right. And the only reason he even won against the only decision he has in the UFC was against what's
Bruno
that guy's
Silva.
name, man?
Bruno Silva.
Bruno Silva. That was because he was able to catch him and he hurt him a few times.
Yeah. Right.
But in this fight against Adesanya, bro, no, I don't see that. I don't see that decision happening. And I think it'll be either through KO or TKO, and that's what makes it interesting, man. Because a lot of the prediction for both these fighters to win, both have a chance of KO or TKOing each other. So it just makes it even more interesting.
No, I would agree, Jason, and I would think to add a little bit. Because I mostly with your path to victories, and I kind of outlined a little bit, but Adesanya also, because of that wrestling confidence from that last fight, he can probably throw in some submission in there, a submission in there too. And
True.
if he can get Pereira on the ground, which will be a harder task this time, but if you can get Pereira on the ground, then bro, throw those. If you can keep him on the ground like you did last time, then the submissions are gonna be there at some point,
Absolutely.
dude.
Absolutely.
Because again, like he might have to borrow notes from Dorino if he wants to beat the Brazilian, you know. But what I'm thinking though is that like if he can capitalize early enough, that would be real good. Either drawing that power out earlier on to catch Poatan, but also for Poatan, I would agree, Jason, throwing those leg kicks as well. Because if it worked last time checking them, imagine getting those landing on you too. Because if he wants to prevent Adesanya from grappling, you break his legs and you put power behind your leg kicks and hit his legs, that wrestling base is not going to be there, you know, and that will let Poatan, if he gets taken down, to come back up a lot easier too if he needs to. So
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that also stops a lot of the power for Izzy's jab as well, because that jab would land and is stiff, but it's not stiff enough to. It's stiff enough to hurt Pereira, but only for it to hurt to set up the next things that come before Adesanya, you know, whether it is the striking or the grappling. So, I don't know, Jason. I think it's time for predictions then, bro. I mean, it's me? I'm going to predict it then first. I'll
Yeah,
go through.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
then do you close it out, Jason? Prediction, then I'll
Yeah.
give you mine, dog. We talked about the passive victories. Israel Adesanya, because he was a more experienced in the MMA world, has his passive victory are a lot more open and diverse. But I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think that Poatan he might just have his number, bro. This man, I don't know why I feel this way, but the same reasons why is we predicted sort of the same thing last time too, a little bit, right? I said the same thing last time where it's like Israel Adesanya has more ways to win, that's why he's gonna win, and Poatan proved me wrong. And I think if
Right.
Poatan is able to have that withstand a lot of the onslaught Israel Adesanya has earlier on, which he's proven to be able to, if he's not reckless and careless and unnerved, you know. And again, there's a thing when you're a champ, 30% more stronger, right? So if he's let more confidence in himself now that he's champ, you telling me that this Poatan's going to accept another defeat against Adesanya? Again, Adesanya is super desperate right now, which means he could be at his most dangerous. I don't mean desperation in the sense of like, you know, thirsty, but more in the
Right.
sense of like the desperation of what
Hunger.
this fight means, the legacy behind it, to where like if I lose this dude the whole time, like I can't even go up a weight class because he could just follow me again. So lose again for a fifth time. What, go down? Poatan's a hater enough to follow me down there too? Like, what do
Nah,
you... physically impossible, but a hater gonna hate. You never know, bro. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's for Adesanya, bro. Like his career in the UFC, if Poatan's in there, no matter what, it might just be like second place. And who wants to be in that position like that? You know, Poatan said like he'll send Izzy to the WWE, and that would be hilarious if that somehow actually happens. I don't think it would, but I don't know, man. I think Poatan. It's weird if Adesanya is a little bit more sharper. It's a little like it's weird because I think Poatan's gonna win. For my flat out prediction, I think Poatan's gonna win.
Right.
I think he's gonna win probably a fifth round stoppage at some point because if he fires himself up again, he could take him out. That's I think is likely that what I think for predict likely to happen. But if you go by statistics in the past, he could put Izzy to sleep in round 2 and then be like, holy shit, once again, you know.
Right.
But I think Poatan might just have his number. And I think once Poatan gets this win again, he's just going to go up and forget about middleweight all over again. And just basically just says, fuck you, Whitaker, Costa, all you guys. I got my dub. I became champ. I'm out. I'm double champ until I vacate. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, because he could go up to light heavyweight, no problem. And I'm pretty much starch almost all those guys, bro. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I mean, that's just a little bit later on. But I think for Poatan, like the thing he's got to worry about is now he's got to fight Israel Adesanya against the quarter, who now is like, bro, I can throw everything I can now, and that's the thing. I may have not mentioned that as much, but the fact that this is like I'm on the back end of this. Same thing with Jorge, right? It's gonna be where it's like I have to put everything I can and more to get this dub, bro. He's gonna have to go everything and beyond, bro. He has the 9-tail seal on his stomach. He might have to bring some 9-tails out to beat Poatan, bro. I swear to God, he might have to, bro. I swear to God, that's the only way I can see it. Now, I know disrespect to Izzy, he's more technical of a fighter and he's more faster, but in most cases, technique beats power. But for some reason, like I said before, Poatan has enough technique and a lot of power to where like he could get the job done if he catches Israel Adesanya lacking. And when you're in that desperate situation, we're swinging and banging, if Izzy makes a mistake, I mean, I hope he's as sharp as he was against Whitaker and Costa in this fight, because that'd be insane. He gets the dub over him and really cements his time as, really the greatest middle. Because if he gets his get back against Poatan just this one time, bro, because if he gets it at least once, then he could just be like, I'm good, bro. And he could just freak. If Adesanya wanted it with the career he's had, he could retire as well. In theory. I hope he does. I mean, because he's beat everyone in division. I hope he doesn't, but I don't know, man. I mean, if you lose against someone like Poatan, too, what's left? That's all I'm going to say. So I think we might see the end of Israel Adesanya on Saturday. And I think because I predict that Poatan's going to win. It's just that he has his number. He's able to beat him multiple times. When you fight the same guy 3 times, the 4th one is just going to be like, it could be a speed run for him. This could be him speed running like it's temple running this bitch,
All right, bro.
So give me your prediction, bro. I know, bro. I feel bad because Israel Adesanya is one of my favorite characters in UFC, MMA. He's the dude, bro. He's the guy. He's the anime nerd. He's everything I love about the sport and more. But like, holy shit, bro. This is such a daunting task for him. And yeah, the belt's not there as weight, but everything else, legacy, the history behind it too. Like, I just hope that dog collar don't choke him out when he gets in the ring. You know what I mean? Shit.
All right, bro. Hey, man. Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this. On this pick, bro.
Dude,
sorry,
I love this, bro, because I picked straight Brazilians. My hand's all Brazilians right now.
For the love of Naruto, for all that, man, I gotta go with my boy Adesanya.
And I respect you for that, bro. I respect you for that, bro.
Look, man, he's been a dominant champ for so long, man. And look, sure, the last 3 times, this is where I think he could really do it because he's fought him 3 times, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to figure out a way to beat him, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
This
Come
is
on,
true.
bro. You fought him 3 times. You have to find a way to beat this guy. So, I think this is the time. And sure, his energy is all kind of weird, but maybe it's because this is a different kind of hunger that we've never seen from Adesanya. So, I'm gonna say Adesanya to win the fight. I don't know how, but just to be safe, I'm gonna go with decision win.
Okay.
Because I don't want to. Wait, did you say a round for yours?
Yeah, I said a 4th or 5th round TKO or KO for Poatan just because of the history. I give the benefit because honestly, if you go by the data, like I said before, he could starch him in round 1 or 2 and be like, "Holy shit, Poatan is him."
Right. So I think man, it's hard, but yeah, I'm gonna go decision for Adesanya, and I think he can do it this time around. I just something is, bro. 3 times, but this is the 4th time, bro. Come on, please, for once beat him. You fought him 3 times, like, dude. You've got so much experience with him to learn how of weakness, right? So in technicality, he should be able to beat him now that you fought him 3 times. You know how he to find some kind of he does things.
Mm-hmm.
You know how he is in kickboxing. You know how he is in MMA now. So it's like, come on, bro. You gotta don't let him get your number, bro. Like, but hey, man, I'm excited for this, bro. I can't even believe. Honestly, I'll be honest. I was kind of leaning towards Poatan before we even started, but like just after talking about everything, I was like, man, you know what? I gotta stick to the guy that I believe in Adesanya, so I gotta go with him.
Dude, and I wouldn't fault you for that prediction. He's the favorite right now. He is the in terms of the sport of MMA, he is the more well-rounded fighter. But I agree, and on a technical level, I agree, and maybe on a money thing, you probably are right. And at a certain point, you get beat down. You got to find a way to get back up. And if Israel Adesanya can, if anyone can do it, it will be Israel Adesanya. I'll give you that, and that's why I'm excited for this fight. Because, bro, I think it sucks, bro, because I love Israel Adesanya, and it's you right, bro. If Israel Adesanya wins, I'm gonna be like, bruh, I'm sorry, bro, but I doubted you as a Naruto fan, bro. What the fuck?
Casual.
I know I'm a casual Sasuke lover right now instead of a Naruto hater. But like, bro, but dude, what's crazy about this is like, bro, that rivalry that they had, no matter what, it ends tomorrow. Or it ends on Saturday, right? Which is crazy to think about.
It's kind of sad, honestly.
It is, bro, because
if it ends the way we think, yeah.
Yes, if it ends the way we think, either way, bro. Because like, bro, if Israel Adesanya wins, then boom, it's back to normal. It was a great challenge for him. It's back to him just dominating the division again, probably, right? Let's hope, But then if Powhatan wins, we know it's an instant vacate probably because that homie can. Bro, I don't know how I don't know. He must give up organs to make the weight class, bro. He has to. They gotta like, yo, take out my stomach and my liver, sew me up, let me weigh in, then you can put that shit back in later, bro. I think that's too. Because again, I also think that. You can't. Powhatan can only do so many weight cuts to this division before it's like, what the fuck, you're actually detrimental. Yeah. And at 35 too, again, because of that age, because of the experience, bro. I don't know, man. I've also accepted too that this could also be one of those chances. This could be a boring fight as well, where like both are a little bit gun shy. I don't expect Powhatan to be. Because Israel Adesanya is a master counter, but again, he could also be the guy because he's in the back. He needs to initiate more and do all that. But again, but this is MMA, this is UFC. Just as it could be kind of boring, it could also be fucking insane and great, bro. Like, I don't know, Jason. What do you think the odds are this fight ends in like the first 3 rounds?
For who?
Either. I'm just saying either.
Man.
Because I thought the last fight could have been like ended earlier after that first round, we're like, but then it went the way it did. So
I think if we're gonna go like you're just gonna say at 100%, I'd probably say honestly there's probably like a 70 to 80% chance I'd say it could end in the first 3 rounds.
And you know why I think that is too? Because I think the way Adesanya, because remember as a champ, there was this common criticism of Adesanya where he wasn't fighting to win, rather fighting not to lose.
Right. Just off of points.
Exactly. His style was that was criticism. A lot of his fights was against the Jared Cannonier. Very technical, but very boring to a lot of people,
Right.
The Yoel Romero fight.
Yoel Romero, yep.
Same thing, bro. And again, like, that Adesanya can't put a performance like that otherwise, like, bruh, like, yeah, he may be champ or whatever, but you can't have a kind of performance like that. They both feed us. The theme for this fight, for this whole card, for at least the main 2 events, is that these fights have stakes. Someone needs to get no matter what, this fight has to end a decisive way, otherwise it's not going to be over. And what's worse is that if the final fight in the night, the main event ends in an unsatisfactory way, it doesn't matter, it's over, and if it's a draw, why would Powhatan want to fight Adesanya again when he still has the belt? No matter what the result is, they need all the fighters on the fight on the main event co-main need to finish regardless. That means the stakes of this and the intensity has become so great. I don't know, man, Jason. Just even though we couldn't talk about other fights in the card, bro, this 287 card is about to be fucking hype, bro. Hype as shit. The only thing that yeah, bro. You got Giannis on the card, bro. Rob Font, Kevin Holland, bro. Fucking. The only thing that sucks was that Chris Barnett had to pull out of his fight. Otherwise, this would have been like a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 card, because this shit's about to be stupid fire. TikTok's about to be popping off on this shit too. Us going stupid nuts. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you that once Kevin Holland Ponzinibbio fight starts, it's gonna be bangers from there, bro. I'm gonna have to take a nap early in the day just to make sure I don't fucking feel sleepy at all for this shit, bro.
For sure,
bro, baby, give me some melatonin, put my feet up, and just until this fight's happen, bro. Because I need to save all the energy for later, bro. You best believe it's gonna be insane how these fights are gonna go. But Jason, bro, before we end this this pod off, just some of the implications, legacy, final thoughts on these both matches, bro. Let's end it here.
Yeah, bro. Look, man, I'm excited. We kind of went through a lot of things, but man, like you mentioned, this is legacies at stake. There's potential championship matchups at stake. There's retirement at stake. There's so many things at stake here. So for the co-main and for the main event. So it's just it's going to be so interesting to see. And let's just hope that me being not the fighter, I'm gonna have so much nerves. Let's hope the fighters don't have too many nerves.
Oh my god, bro!
Because me watching, I'm gonna be hella nervous. I'm gonna have all those butterflies. all the motions of what a fighter would feel like going out there is what I'm gonna feel, and I'm not a fighter. I'm a fat piece of shit. So it's gonna be it's gonna be so interesting to see all this, man. And I'm just, bro, I'm looking forward to it. And stay tuned on that TikTok reaction, bro. Because if these fights go the way we expect them to, with TKOs and KOs, bro.
Oh, bro, TikTok and YouTube's gonna be hyped, bro. Cause like that Masvidal fight, dude. If Masvidal pulls a finish, regardless if a finish happens, we're going nuts. If the B side, either of our B sides, get the finish, it's gonna be nuts. If the A side, it's predictable, but if the finish is gonna be insane, and then we can settle down and discuss the crazy implications of the results of these fights. But damn, man, Jason, I couldn't agree with you more, bro. It's a crazy fight for both fights coming up, man. And honestly, bro, you see, both the main and co-main could have had their own card dedicated, but I'm glad they're stacking up this shit, bro. I wish Jorge put the BMF thing on the line. That would have been even crazier. But honestly, bro, like,
5 rounds.
You're right. And then honestly, bro, if he ends up, it would have to be a worthy opponent for. Not that Gilbert isn't, but it would have to be a 5-rounder crazy affair for that to work, bro. Hey, man, that'd be crazy. All these fighters have crazy things. That's gonna happen if any of the fighters win. So let's just hope we get beautiful finishes on this fight to have a great card. Everyone stay safe, and then we'll have a good time. But Jason, I think I'm wrapping up here. Any more final thoughts before I close out?
That's all, man.
Guys, give this video a like, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts below. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Do you think Poatan has Adesanya's number, or will Adesanya pull the impossible, do some crazy anime level finish, and get Poatan for once and finally to end off this really lopsided quadrilogy affair? And also, will Jorge Masvidal do the impossible, pull the victory over the beast that is Gilbert Burns? Because, guys, this, like we said, retirement talk is in the midst. Do you think if Jorge loses, do you think he's going to retire, or is he going to become the new big money journeyman? If Gilbert wins, does he deserve that title shot right off the bat? We think probably yes, depending on the victory. But hey, let us know your thoughts below. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm your host, George, and my co-host here,
Jason.
Give this video a like, subscribe, buy UFC 287 on pay-per-view to enjoy the craziness with us. Y'all have a good one. Peace.